Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Phil Risher, and on today's episode, we're going to be discussing ways to use AI to increase sales and streamline your operation with Aaron Cooper. Aaron, thanks so much for joining us today, man.
Of course. Thanks, Phil. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, for sure. So, Aaron Cooper is the co founder of Sameday, a tech company that uses artificial intelligence to enhance customer service and operations in the home service industry. His leadership has established Sameday as a key innovator, transforming customer interactions and operational efficiency with AI. He came on my radar through LinkedIn, and I saw some of the things that he's building with Sameday, and I'm like, this is amazing. So him and I met, and I'm like, dude, you got to come on the show. So, Aaron, can you tell us a little bit, how did you get into the home service space?
Yeah, totally. My background's in pest control. So way back in the day, I got recruited while I was at BYU to go do door-to-door sales, which is super common if you're in the Utah area.
Yeah.
But shortly after that, I went ahead and got licensed to become a technician and started doing pest control, sales, and servicing. So I'd go through neighborhoods, sell people on signing up for pest control services, and then just service them right there on the spot. So I had a truck, follow the rig and everything. It was kind of cool.
Wow.
After that, I got into digital marketing, started running ads on my own, and got recruited to run ads for a relatively small pest control business. So I built out all of their inside sales, all of their digital marketing, everything you could think of. And in about 2.5 years, we'd scaled that to close to 20 million in recurring revenue. And yeah, and then that led me to Sameday, which I'm sure we'll get into. So
Yeah. So you were doing digital marketing. Well, first you learned the trade. It's kind of similar to how I was actually. I was in the trades, saw this huge opportunity, started doing digital marketing, then got into digital marketing for the trades. And through that process, from what I could imagine, is you were generating a bunch of leads for them and they weren't managing the leads or
yeah,
actively working every single thing. And so then you said, well, can AI do this? Is that kind of the natural progression of it?
ex- exactly. Yeah. So I mean, the biggest source for like my hair thinning out is just the fact that we would miss like 20% of all of our inbound leads. And as you know, like on
Yeah.
Google local service ads, whatever platform you pay or you run ads on, like you're paying about $80 a phone call on
Yeah.
average. And so I could not staff enough people to keep up with just the seasonality and the fluctuations. Um, and this is pre ChatGPT, pre AI boom. And so we were really fortunate to sort of be the first people to go after using artificial intelligence to do what we do. So really fortunate was I was able to meet Sam Altman from OpenAI like 1 month before ChatGPT came out and got some cool insights on what was coming down the pipeline.
Wow.
Um, and so we were sort of there pretty early.
So you were looking at AI as a way to streamline a lot of this before OpenAI came out. And then when it came out, you're like, okay, how can we leverage this inside of a sales and marketing framework?
Yeah, so we had built our own AI to do most of what we do now originally. So
Wow.
and even to this day, we do a lot of training and things on our own.
Mm.
But yeah, we've been answering calls with AI since what is it, like 2022, I believe.
Wow.
So
Yeah. So years. Okay. So let's talk about some of the AI integration into sales and what that looks like. Because one of the things that stuck out to me about you is that it's really more focused on the sales side. Other people, I would say, are focused more on customer service, answering the calls, maybe booking things, where you're more like, we got leads, let's sell them, or like, we got estimates, let's sell them. So can you talk about what that integration looks like, maybe some common practices from a sales perspective with AI?
yeah, I mean, ultimately, what we're doing is we're looking at every position that a company is hiring for in their back office, and sort of filling in the gaps or filling in those roles with AI, but starting with sales. Our assumption is that if you could have anyone answer your phone, it would be your best salesperson. They're usually just the best talkers. They're usually highly motivated, pretty in tune with what the business needs. And so we started with sales and really get into the weeds, not only in like, oh, is it integrated and can it book an appointment, but like, what do the best salespeople do that help them have such a high close rate? How can they really overcome objections and create a ton of value to keep people from calling the next customer or next company, right? I mean, is if you're running any kind of paid ads, you understand that the buying cycle for a consumer for home services is that they're just going down a list, right? They're Googling something near me, and then they're clicking 2 or 3 different companies, calling them, getting and price shopping or getting quotes.
So your AI will basically take the top real life CSRs or salespeople and then figure out what are they saying and doing that's closing or booking the best rates. And then it will train some AI salesperson or CSR to overcome those objections and sell.
Yes and no, yeah. So I mean, we definitely like I manage. So sort of at the peak of my career in the trades itself, our call center had about 80 people in it,
Mm-hmm.
and so I definitely had a lot of like really interesting insights as to what the best CSRs or the best
Yeah.
salespeople were doing, and we definitely started there. Now with our AI handling millions of phone calls, it's gotten to the point where sometimes like business owners will be like, "That seems a little backwards. Like, why is your AI approaching it this way?" And it's
Mm.
like, well, after millions of calls, like you can do things with AI that you've never been able to do before, and how you like can run evals and A/B tests with certain approaches to sales and customer service.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's like, yeah, customers, we found out that customers, if you can give them an approximate time, first and foremost, like really even before you do anything else, like your booking rate goes way up.
For sure. So what I found is like there's three types of calls that people get. The first one is maybe they're in landscaping or pest control even, and it's like, hey, what's the price or estimate to do this type of service? The second
Hmm.
one is like, hey, I don't have any heat. What's your dispatch fee or something like that? And then third one is just like, hey, I'm trying to get some information. So how does AI like walk them through those different things? Does it give estimates? Does it overcome objections when they say, cool, I'm just trying to gather some information? Do they overcome
Hmm.
objections on the dispatch fee or what does that look like?
Yeah. So ultimately you want the AI, like let's focus in on one, like if it's going to be the dispatch fee, right? You want to preempt that. So you want to build value about, why we're going to get out there so quick and like what exactly your technician's going to do when they get there. And even drop a few bombs in terms of, I guess bombs is the right word, but you know,
Yeah, value.
drop some value in terms of, why our technician is the best person to have out there. Preempting, like understanding where this conversation is going. Like this person is probably going to get hung up. Like we literally within the first 15 seconds of the call, the AI is determining like what kind of person am I talking to, and
Mm.
it can understand within the first few seconds how the conversation is going to go. Like it's not transactional at all.
Is that like based off of the pitch or the tone or the how fast they're talking, all that stuff?
All of it, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So
Like it's
what are
go
some
ahead.
of the impacts like from a you someone wasn't using this before, their booking rate was 30% and then they implemented this and it jumped up to whatever and blah 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 blah.
For sure. I mean, we see big differences based on like the demographic that people's companies are in, like versus East Coast versus the Midwest. So the booking rates can vary a bit. That being said, like it's usually pretty dramatic. It's almost always pretty dramatic. I mean, we have companies. I have one in particular that I'm thinking off the top of my head, and I think they're a good example just because their footprint is so large.
Mm.
But they are reporting back to us their booking rate is 98% on the AI, which
Mm.
honestly, I went through and crunched my numbers and I think it's more like 92,
Wow.
but still like pretty drastic improvements. Once again, like we typically want to teach your CSRs and your existing office staff how to improve the AI. Like we built a platform out that you can get in and really get granular with it and run tests. And so we'll do a lot of like support and training and coaching with your existing CSRs and how people choose to run their business. Like we don't push anyone any
Yeah.
certain way. Like we're focused at just getting these appointments booked. But that being said, like we do have customers who are who have backfilled 20 people with AI. Like it's
Yeah.
almost everyone will get rid of like an existing third party call center for sure.
Yeah. So a couple things that stuck out to me as well when we were talking before was that you can build these almost AI sales agents and A/B test maybe different voices for your business or different objections or different things, and then see their performance off of those booking rates inside of your business. Almost if you were to hire like 10 CSRs and then see who has the best booking rate. Is that what the thought
Yeah.
process was?
Yeah, but unlike with humans, you can approach it very pragmatically. Like you can break down not just the greeting, which is actually a very important piece, but any aspect to it, any aspect of how the AI talks, performs, what it looks at, what it's thinking about, how it's approaching it. Like for the first time ever, You can look at your customer interactions and really break it apart and be like, what is actually the best way to go about it? Because until now, it's just been kind of people's gut, which is good, but people's gut in terms of, what kind of experience do I want people to have when they come to my business? Now you can actually break down the customer experience piece by piece and like test it.
Yeah. That's the part I thought was really cool is it's almost like you're building these AI agents that are customizable in your business and then deploying them and getting real-time feedback from a CSR perspective specifically,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome. I am curious about from a sales side of things, like that dispatch fee, I guess they go out there and they do sell it, like book it. But what about like they get estimates or some and any other like proactive sales things happening from an AI perspective?
Yeah, I mean, our goal with the AI is to like be able to anticipate, similar to how it does just on the live calls, to be able to anticipate those opportunities.
Mm.
Like, there's a lot of things that people will have their CSRs do when there's downtime, like membership renewals, things like that.
Yeah.
But like, keep in mind, like we will stress test one AI agent up to like 50 to 100,000 simultaneous phone calls. So like you think of all these things that you would imagine your
Yeah.
CSRs being able to do if they possibly had the time. Like your AI can handle hundreds of thousands of conversations at any given moment, right?
Yeah.
So looking at how can we make this not only like this reactive AI that you're using just to fill in the gaps, but how can it be like truly a proactive employee in your business, whether it's membership renewals, whether it's, oh man, whatever you can think of.
Yeah. Rehashing your past estimates, ARs, I mean, next day calls, confirmation. There's a million different things, which is
Exactly.
pretty cool. I think turning the reactive approach of an AI answering service into a proactive sales agent in your business that you can deploy on all these different things is going to be a game changer for a lot of businesses. And you guys are on the cutting edge of that capability from what you've told me before, which is pretty sick.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember a couple of years ago, like the response time for the AI was like 7 seconds. Like we got it from like 15 to 7 seconds, like meaning when you said something to it, it took 7 seconds to respond. And we were like, dang, this is
Yeah.
sick. And
Yeah.
like our customers were using it and they're like, dang, this is six, seven. Like they didn't know it was 7 seconds. We knew. I don't know how many people actually like sat there and counted, but it took forever. And then now it's, milliseconds, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy how things are moving.
Now I've even heard people actually play keys clicking in the background to give it a little bit of separation time as if it is thinking because it's so fast.
Yeah, yeah.
Something like that.
No, that's definitely something. And those kind of things, like you just got to test it. But yeah, you can turn that on if you want.
Yeah. So from a brand perspective, how can you leverage your brand using AI? Like make sure that do you import like, hey, this is how we say this and this is what we say for all these things, and then it kind of learns from there? Or is there any other frameworks that people use to maintain their brand and policy and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So I think one thing that also sets us apart, at least from what I've heard, is like your ability to go in and actually customize it in real time.
Mm.
So you can go in and feed the AI all of these. Right now, we're calling them taglines. I'm hoping to find a better word for it. So if you have a suggestion, but like to feed in all these things that you're really harping on with your CSRs today, you know,
Yes.
in certain industries, it's like all of our technicians are background checked, or we come with a fully stocked truck. Some of these things that they want to make sure everyone knows because they really feel like that sets them apart.
Yes.
Um, you can feed that into your AI so that it has it in its back pocket. You can tell it to say it every time at a certain point in the call, but you can also give it to like emphasize as something that it can hold back when it does need to overcome certain objections.
Yeah, I think that's really good to be able to prompt it to have things in its back pocket that you can coach it. Another thing is like specials and promos that you have going on, making sure that they're
Mm-hmm.
aware of like, hey, right now it's winter time, so we should be offering this, X amount off of whatever dispatch fee or something. I'm guessing you can probably build it into those tagline type things.
Yeah, you can, like I said, you can build it into the taglines, or you can have it say it every time
Yeah,
at a certain point. Yeah,
yeah,
it's totally, you have that flexibility. We've gone the route of like giving you the flexibility. If you want to get into the weeds and build your own AI agent from scratch, like we've set up the platform for you to be able to do that. But we
yeah,
also have what we call playbooks, and they're essentially instructions to the AI agents or types of CSRs, types of dispatchers, types of sales agents that are being used across the whole, really across the world. Like we have plumbing businesses all over the world now using us, not just here in the US, Australia, Canada, all over.
Yeah.
Um, like these playbooks are being used all over by businesses, and we're constantly optimizing them and making them better. And you have direct access. You can just one click turn on this playbook and start sending calls to it, and it's being optimized for the highest booking rates. So
Yeah, that's pretty sick. So the integration right now that you mostly work with is on Service Titan, I think, but there, you can build other capabilities integration.
yeah, there hasn't been anything with an API that we haven't been able to connect it with,
Yeah.
right? Some platforms might be like their documentation of like some CRMs that people use are can be pretty old and outdated sometimes.
Yeah, of
So
course.
sometimes the documentation's a lot, which you'd probably know, but for the most part, yeah, anything with an API we've been able to connect with. So, but
Yeah.
Service Titan, yeah, we have a pretty deep integration there. Like the AI literally is like totally autonomous. Like it doesn't require it unless you want it to, but it doesn't require any human intervention whatsoever.
Yeah.
So
Very cool. Let's talk a little bit about the operational side of the scheduling process because I think that there's a layer to AI that a lot of people miss on this as well, where your CSR is trying to go to the dispatch board or the scheduling board and see is this person available. Does the AI take that in consideration when it's scheduling things and optimizing routes and
mhm.
stuff?
Yeah. So it's asking people, um, well, obviously it's like, hey, how can we help you? Like some of these typical things that any CSR is going to ask. But then it's taking the user's input and then immediately going through and looking up job types to start to classify, what business unit does this person need? Where do I start scheduling and preemptively doing this in the background so that I can quickly start offering times and dispatch fees and prioritizing certain types of jobs. But yes, it's looking at capacity, finding the right technician in the right business unit in the right location or the right zone, depending on what platform you're
Yeah.
talking about. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know there are some platforms that are external to Service Titan or these other things that you can plug in your routes and then it optimizes it and spits it back out. And I think the cool thing is like this is just doing it on the fly with a CSR actually doing everything all in one. So it's not stick it out here, put it over here, which I think is
yeah.
awesome. What about some like the challenges? I know a lot of times when you implement new technology or AI into businesses, people's heads explode like what is this, this bot, all this stuff. What and I would imagine with yours it's like, hey, just kind of turn it on and let it kind of do its thing over here and then it's going to happen over here. But what are some of the pushbacks or things people need to think about if they are wanting to implement something like this in their business?
Yeah. I mean, we have a playbook for everyone. So I mentioned these playbooks that are like ultra powerful and people are using them for all kinds of stuff. We also have a playbook for just about everyone. So we like to start crawl, walk, run, or the way that I like to really say it is like we get hired and then we get promoted within the business. And so we have a playbook where you can start, it's optimized just for like those few after hour calls that you're missing or
Mm,
those few times that, a CSR is not available. And the AI is, in some cases, it is taking a message instead of going all the way through and booking and dispatching, right? So we
yeah.
have a playbook for most scenarios, right? Then it can get very complicated where we have playbooks for fire calls. And so the AI is able to identify like what types of jobs do I need to just disregard what the capacity in Service Titan is telling me
Yeah.
and actually book it for today, even though there's not any availability, right?
Yeah.
Like it's able to go that far.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. What about from an internal perspective? Like, okay, you have a dispatcher, and then this thing's overriding what the dispatcher is doing. Is there anything that people need to like? I guess just get everyone on board with using technology. But is there anything else that's like, hey, here's what you make? You need to get this stuff lined up before you implement something like that.
Yeah, there's definitely like best practices. You know, people will use their CRM or the FSM in a million different ways. And so it's not really like one size fits all.
Yeah.
So we'll get in and make our recommendations, um, but we'll try to make it fit within your business. And like I said, it is very much a crawl, walk, run. Like we don't want to come in and tell you how to run your business.
Yeah.
We want to get hired and get promoted and then have it prove its value to you guys. And so If it's overriding a dispatcher, like we probably have an approach to solve that or to better work in sync with your dispatchers, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, it does. I think a big issue a lot of people run into, and I'll just say it is you probably use 50 to 60% of your CRM or FSM, and you
Hmm.
and really it's like if you used 100%, you could probably do all this other stuff to it, but you're just using this for that and this for that. And so you're trying to piecemeal it together, and then you're limited on the capabilities that you can do with some AI type of automations things.
Yeah. And we'll give, and keep in mind, like we will give recommendations. Like if people ask us all the time, like, what are the best companies doing? Or what do you recommend for these types of scenarios? And we have, trust me, like we have, you know, pretty strong opinions on things. Like we're working with, tons of big brands, Lee's Air or Roto-Rooter or Peterman or whomever, right? And
Yeah.
so, we've definitely worked with many of the biggest brands, and obviously we don't share like insights what we're learning from people, but with the millions of calls that we're handling now, like we have a pretty good instinct as to what works best.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have the exact playbook, but you know the plays that run for most people that look good, which that's what people want. So that's great.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And so for future development stuff, so right now you have the more reactive side of things, but the proactive side of things, I would imagine, is coming down the pike maybe in the next year or two for a lot of people.
Oh no, next we work in weeks, right?
Okay.
Usually we release like 2 to 3 major features every 2 weeks.
Oh wow. Okay.
So like lately it's been like outbound texting features,
Yeah.
right? So having the AI able to like recognize opportunities and reach out to people. So right now we're onboarding all of our customers, getting their brands registered with 10 DLC, getting their campaigns registered in 10 DLC. But yeah, no, we're like every 2 weeks we have 2 or 3 major features that come out. So
Nice. So yeah, it could be as soon as a couple of months or even weeks. Maybe just add one thing in the texting outbound. I think is a home run because if you can have AI go into your CRM, find the opportunities, and then send out text to all these people. Like I
yeah,
had this, I had a post that went, I would say not viral, but over 10,000 some impressions, whatever. And it was basically
awesome.
like every time you book a job, go into your CRM and pull that street address and just text all the people that
Yeah,
that are close by and say, hey, we're going to be in your area. We don't have to charge a gas thing. And that's kind of like what you're saying. Like, hey, you haven't scheduled your fall inspection yet. And you see that you're a service contract, or even if you're not, you need to schedule your thing. We're going to be in your area or something like that.
totally. There's 2 major features we have in the pipeline that I know for a fact nobody's ever thought about these kind of things before, and we're super stoked. I don't want to say them here. Maybe I'll tell you privately,
I
but
got you. Yeah.
right before I started, there's so many things that you can do with AI.
Yes.
Um, I mentioned being CMO at that pest control company, but I led growth marketing at another home services business,
Mm.
and they did about 400 million a year
Oh,
in
wow.
in recurring revenue. And so had the opportunity to manage like 180 locations and really see like how do you compete against everything,
Yeah.
right? Every kind of market, right? And there's really some crazy things that get way overlooked. And so we're building a lot of these things and just making it available to everyone. And I know I'm being super vague,
No, it's cool.
but it's like, I mean, you think it's been hard. Like imagine, how can I describe this? Imagine like peak season, right? It's
Yeah.
like the day after Thanksgiving, how crazy that is. If
Yes.
you want it to be, imagine that being every day of the year, right? And
Yeah.
I'm super, super confident that we'll be able to do that for everybody. So
Wow.
like this AI not only is going to be reactive, like it'll be truly proactive and like understand the industry and the market and just the consumer better than anyone else and just be able to drive tons of traffic.
Yeah.
So
Dang. And so this is going to be not because right now, like this is just using your CRM data or inbound calls or leads, but this is going to be something that could be like a marketing lead channel type of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
essentially like it understands. Man, I'm dying to share.
It's okay. We can talk about it offline. No worries.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
when it goes live, we'll have you back on to the show to talk about it. I think that would be good.
Cool.
Yeah,
That'd be
that would
dope.
be sick. All right. So we talked about a lot of stuff here. If people are interested in setting up same day for their business or even just like doing a demo, where should they go? What should they do?
Yeah, so you can go to gosameday.com or sameday.ai. Either go to our website and you can book a demo there. I'll be sure to jump on any demos that you book and have a very close eye on everyone's accounts. But yeah, you just simply book a demo. It's about 15 minutes. You don't have any contracts or anything like that. We really want it to speak for itself and prove itself so you can get in and try it out.
Yeah, cool. And when you and I connected, you literally like, hey, check this out, and you sent it to me, and I called the AI and talked to the AI. So like, it's pretty. Yeah, you want people to just get in and use it. So I would imagine like within a day or two, they could be up and running and have things kind of set up for their business.
Yeah, totally. It used to take us like 3 or 4 months to get someone live just because there was a lot of nuance. We can typically get someone live. We still do some onboarding, like we still, not some, like we still will meet with you and teach you about it and stuff. But you can be live same day now. So
Yeah.
with integrations to like Service Titan and everything.
Yeah, no pun intended. Same day,
Yeah.
same day.
Yeah.
Cool, Aaron. Well, this has been great, man. I appreciate you and look forward to hearing about that cool thing that's coming out and just seeing the impact you make on the industry. It's awesome, man. So keep it up.
Thanks, Phil. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, you got it, man.